Hello and welcome to our how-to vid series, where we're going to talk all things Titan GPS. For those of you who haven't met yet, my name is Dan Mullins. Through trial and error, I've kind of learned some best practices, and through the ability to talk to a lot of other coaches who use Titan, it's allowed me the opportunity to learn quite a bit on some things that might save you some headaches. So we're going to do a series of hopefully short videos. This one's going to be a little bit longer to get you started, but we want to provide a resource to help troubleshoot any problems, make your life a little bit easier, and like I said, share some best practices. If you have any ideas or any requests for some videos, please feel free to reach out. Would love any input that you might have. But we felt like getting a getting started video for any of our new users would be a great place to start. So your sensors came in. Now what? So we're going to walk through some steps to prepare you and get you ready so that you can actually go run your sensors or run your sessions and collect some data. The only one we're really not going to address is the downloading the Sync software. If you haven't downloaded that yet, please reach out to me. I'll send you the link to go ahead and get started with that. But go ahead and unpack the box, get everything set up. This is going to be your sync hub here. Get all the cords plugged in. I know at first it might look like a jumbled mess, but this obviously is your power cord. I would suggest getting a power strip and plugging that into there. Especially if you have multiple sync hubs, that'll make kind of the cord jungle a little bit easier to tame for you. And this is the USB port that you're going to plug into your actual device that you're going to use to sync all of your pods. You're going to hear me refer to these as sensors and pods, but these are what my sensors look like. I've got three different types. These are kind of the older ones that we have. You most likely have the Titan 3s that are pictured there on the left. But those are going to be referred to, like I said, pods or sensors as well. Um, I would heavily recommend labeling those pods. So I took a label maker, labeled them 1 through 25. After that, we received a couple extra pods for our program here. So we also labeled those a little bit differently. But I would suggest labeling those with an easier number to remember for your kids. This will make your life much easier when it comes to handing the pods in and out. Also, turning the pods on, the default option is a double click and hold on the second click. So it's click, click, and hold. It looks like this. So that green light tells you that you've activated the pod. Those blue flashing lights that you saw there in the middle, that tells you that it's good to go. It's going to start looking for satellites if you're outside. And then that orange light there is the power off signal. So those are the lights that you're looking at. And we'll go through in a minute and show you how to change some of those settings. But one tip that I would recommend, this will make your life a lot easier when it comes to handing the pods in and out and getting those out for each session, is go ahead and create an assignment sheet. I created mine in Google Docs, and all I put was their name, that pod number, that's that label number, and then the 5-digit serial number for the pod that we're going to show you how to get here in just a second. But what this does is it allows me now, as I'm standing there putting pods in before practice in our sprint sessions, to just look for their last name and look for the pod number. That way, I make sure that I'm giving each athlete the correct pod. Um, from there, I'm going to start filling in the actual assignment sheet. So again, hopefully you have the that Sync software downloaded. Go ahead and open it up. It's going to look a little something like this, and plug just one single sensor in. Don't plug in your entire Sync hub, but you can use one of the little USB ports. Plug one single sensor in. I would obviously suggest starting with pod number one to make your life easier after you've labeled them. Plug one sensor in, and then what's going to happen is on the left side, that 5-digit serial number is going to pop up. I can take that serial number and just type that in to that pod number all the way to the right on my assignment sheet. What this does, again, the online platform we're going to show you in a second when it comes to assigning pods has to have that 5-digit pod number. So that serial number is crucial, but it's also difficult to kind of get those in and out to your kids if they're not labeled. So I make this sheet to make my life easier. So plug one sensor in. You'll see it says, please assign the sensor. That's the status of it. Once you've assigned it, their name will pop up here. This blue bar here is going to give you, as you sync them after a session, it's going to give you a kind of a progress as far as how's the sensors going in terms of the update or upload. And then it's going to give you a brief status. So it might say resetting or updating or uploading. If it says get sensor or then all I would say, or get status, I'm sorry, unplug it, plug it back in, and usually that works. If that problem persists, just let me know. We'll get you in touch with some of the guys. But that's how you get started. So plug those each in one by one, make sure they're labeled, and input that information on your actual assignment sheet. From there, before we add our rosters, a couple suggestions here. Log on to the platform. So go to the website, log in, and it's going to pop up to you default to the team stats page. But if you point to org admin and click on manage organization, there's some settings that I would suggest changing. Now, in this series, we're going to heavily work with football and discuss all things football. So that's why you're going to see that those settings here. In football, the distance unit of yards is a little bit easier for coaches to understand as we talk through it. However, soccer coaches, a lot of cross country that I know will use miles here as well. Speed unit, we're in the United States, so miles per hour makes sense for us. And again, that on-off click pattern, you can adjust that here. But the video I showed you, that's the default setting that's going to come, your sensor going to come programmed with. From there, if you make any changes, click update settings, and that'll update for you too. Next section down, you can add additional coaches. So if you're not the only coach that's managing it, or if any coaches want to be able to log in and view their data, you can add them here. Just type in their first name, last name, and then their email. Click add coach, and it's going to create a profile. If you need to change their email address, you can change it and then click save. You can resend them that activation email and they're getting started, but then they can log in, like I said, and view any of their data that they want. From there, the last one we're going to talk about is the groups. You can create add new group. And then from there, you can get as detailed as you want or as big as you want when it comes to your classifications. So you can go all the way down to wide receivers, or if you're soccer, your midfielders. You can leave it as classifications such as bigs, mids, and skills. Our football players think these names are a lot cooler. I stole these from Joey Gracio at FAU. He refers to them as tanks, trucks, Hellcats, and he calls them motorbikes. Our wide receivers, DBs, like Lambos a little better. But you can add the group and then click the arrow the pencil if you need to change it, and then the X if you want to delete it. But this is just a way to, when it comes to creating some reports in your dashboards and things like that, this allows you to create some group trends. All right, now you're ready to add your roster. So again, go to org admin. This time click manage roster. And then from there, the platform is very easy to use. Click on add player, type their first name, last name, and click enter. And that's going to create this little profile for you. So we're going to take a look at Aaron Smith. From there, we want to input as much information as we can. So grad year, their groups. Again, he's a wide receiver DB from his position here. So he's a Lambo for us. Once he gets his jersey, or once we assign those for next year, his number will go there. His body weight in pounds, that's for your truck stick metrics. And then if you have an email, go ahead and put their email in. This will give them access to the app, which we're going to talk about later. Ignore band edges. Those are going to come in a future video. And then we're going to talk about the sensor one here in a minute. But anytime they need to update their password, you can click that here. But this is just like a Google Sheet. So if I go in here and change the grad year or type the weight in, anytime I click out of the cell that I was editing, it's going to automatically save. So before we talked about, or we said you had to click update settings, that's not the case for a roster. Once you make a change, it is set and you don't have to do anything ever again. All right, from then, we have to assign the pods. So let's assume we already went ahead and created our entire roster. From there, I'm going to look back and forth between my assignment sheet and our roster. So I'm going to find Aaron Smith's name on the sheet. I'm going to look at that 5-digit serial number. I'm going to come over here to the sensor drop-down box and open up. Once I click on this, it's going to pop in with all of the sensors that have been assigned to my program. Two options here. I can scroll through to find his pod number. In this case, it's 15282, or I can click in this box here and start typing it. What that does is it starts to eliminate the options and then click on it. And just like the other options within the rosters, as soon as I click out of the sensor selection dropdown, I click that, it's going to assign that pod to him. So as long as I look at this sensor and I see a five, or his profile, and I see a 5-digit serial number here, that sensor is assigned to that athlete. Now there's an automatic safety feature in here where it will not allow you to assign a pod to more than one kid. So that is a safety feature that's already set up there, so you don't have to worry about that. If I were to assign 15282 to Noah Adkins, it would automatically remove it from Aaron Smith. So just be careful as you're typing in your pod numbers and you're clicking on the pods. Make sure you double check and make sure you have the right pod number, because the last thing I need to do is accidentally put 15282 in for Noah Adkins on my assignment sheet, but assign him the wrong pod. And now my data from different kids is going to be flip flopped. Now, a couple miscellaneous suggestions to finish with here. Again, I mentioned that Titan Athlete app. This is an awesome resource. If you add their email, it's going to send them that email, and they're going to be able to register on the app. What that does is it allows them to see every time I sync the sensors, it allows them to see their data from the last session. Also, if you're using any of the questionnaire features, they can answer those questionnaires through the app. This is the absolute best way to improve competitiveness from every session. I've seen kids talking trash back and forth from this almost every time we have a sprint session. Then I'm going to suggest printing the assignment sheet and putting it in the case. That way, whether to make my life easier as I'm passing the sensors out on the field, or if somebody else is managing them for me, they know which athletes get which sensor because I have them labeled here. I'm a little organizational freak, so I've got sensors 1 through 5 here, 6 through 10, and so on. So that way our managers and our kids know where they go. That way, if I'm not standing there putting them back, everybody knows where they go. Two purchases that have also made my life easier. I went on Amazon and bought these fabric tags or fabric labels for $10, I think they were. And then I put the one tag on the back of each vest on the little where the pod goes. I just labeled it right there. And then I wrote the kid's name. What that did is that kind of stopped our vests from being borrowed permanently between their teammates because somebody might have left them at home. And we also have a rule that if you forget to wear your vest or your sensor for 3 days straight, that our kicker gets to wear it. So he gets pretty fired up about it. Again, something I stole from Joey Gracio, but I can write their name on it, and then that way I also know, like I said, I know who's wearing somebody else's vest. So labeling those were very handy for me. And I bought these hangers. I think they were $12 on Amazon as well. And they're meant for cinder blocks. So hung those up in our locker room with a 3x5 card with the athlete's name over top of it, and just tape that to the 3x5 card to the wall above it. And it just gives the athlete a place to hang their vest every day. Make sure that it gets dry overnight and it's not just sitting crumpled up in the bottom of a locker somewhere. Also decreases the likelihood that the vests are going to make their way home or inevitably into the car with an athlete and never return. So this is just an easier way of doing it, and that's something I stole from Joe Stokowski down at Grayson High School. But those are two great resources, to little things to help us out and make life a little bit easier. Hopefully this video, again, I know it's a little bit longer, but we wanted to go in depth on our getting started video. The rest of them will be much, much shorter videos with some best practices. My contact information is on the screen, my phone number and email. If you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to reach out to me. Would love to talk to you guys soon. Thank you.